The purpose of this video is to take your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, and break it down into the proper macros for low carb days and high carb days. This is a great way for you to carb cycle. Carb cycling is so beneficial to you. I've been able to keep my body fat very low for 30 years. And the way that I do it is not diets, it's not fads, it's by knowing what I can eat and when I can eat it, how to spend my calories. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that right now. And I'm going to break it down for you with the numbers. For our purposes today, I'm going to use a TDEE of 3,500. Just taking it for the math's sake, it's a nice round number. Yours may be higher, yours may be lower. Doesn't matter. The math is the same. You'll just figure it out with your numbers, and let me show you how I can calculate that. So we start with our TDEE of 3,500. And let's talk about the macro breakdown. Your macros: protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Protein and carbohydrates, 1 gram of those is equal to 4 calories. 1 gram, 4 calories. Fat, 1 gram, 9 calories. So fat is more calorically expensive. So when you're eating fat, you're burning up more of your calories faster. When we have a low carb day, we want to create a 25% deficit in our calories. Why do we do this? If you want to have a weight loss situation happening in your body, you need to take in less than you are eating. Plain and simple. So I'm going to take in less than what I'm burning, and that means that my body then has to make up that deficit by burning something inside of me. It's going to use body fat. So in our low carb days, I want to create a 25% caloric deficit. So to figure out how much calories that is, I take my 3,500 and I times it by 25%. That number is 875 calories. So I'm going to create an 875 calorie deficit. So I take my 3,500, subtract 875, and that is going to give me 2,625. So 2,625 calories a day this person will have in their caloric deficit on their low carb day. Let's break that down, that 2,625, into carbs, protein, and fat. On a low carb day, you want to have 20% of your calories come from carbohydrates. So that's a quick math problem. I just take 2,625 and I multiply it by 20. And that is going to equal 525 calories. That's how many calories a day I'm going to have in carbohydrates. And we talked about our breakdown before, 1 gram equals 4 calories. So I can divide this by 4 to get my grams. It's 131 and a little bit, so we'll just round it to 131 grams. 525 calories, 131 grams. Let's move on to protein. For the sake of this example, I'm going to use a 200-pound person just because it makes the math easy. So whatever your body weight is, that will be the number of grams that you have in protein per day. If you're 115 pounds, you're going to have 115 grams of protein. 165 pounds, 165 grams of protein. This person is 200 pounds. So they will have 200 grams of protein. And I can back that formula out. Remember, it's 4 calories per gram. So I can multiply 4 times 200 to get 800 calories. So there I have 800 calories of protein, 525 calories of carbohydrate. If I add those two together, I get 1325, and then I take my original number of 2625 and I subtract, and I'm going to get 1300. So that's my calories of fat in the day. Divide it by 4, and that is 144.4, so we'll just round down to 144 grams of fat. So there I have my total breakdown for all of my macros for my low carb day. I have 525 calories, 131 grams of protein, 800 calories, 200 grams of protein, 131 grams of carbs, 200 grams of protein, 144 grams of fat. And that's what that breaks down into in calories. So let's move on to the high carb day. On the high carb day, I want to create a 10% deficit. So not quite as much of a deficit. We're going to give our body a little bit of a break so it's not churning too badly in a deficit, but still not getting enough so it has to keep mobilizing our fat stores. So same math formula as before, 3,500 times 10%, that's going to be 350. 3,500 minus 350 is equal to 3,150. So that's my calories in the day for this person, 3,150. And let's see how that breaks down for the macros. On a high carb day, I want to do 50% of my calories from carbohydrates. So I just take 3,150 and I times it by 50%. And that is going to be 1,575. That's my calories per day in carbohydrates on a high carb day. You can divide it by 4. And that is equal to, I did it before, 394. So that's my grams of carbohydrates on my high carb day. Protein, same person, same body as on the low carb days. They still weigh 200 pounds. They still get 200 pounds. They still are going to get 200 grams, and that is still 800 calories. I add these two together. That is going to be, so my total calories in a day is 3,150. I add 1,575 and 800 together. I get 2,375. So that is going to give me 775 calories for fat. You can do my math right here from my gram is equal to 9 calories. Do my math, divide by 9, and that is going to be 86 grams. So on my high carb day, 394 grams of carbohydrates, 200 grams of protein, 86 grams of fat. Easy. So now I have a template, a framework, my outline, if you will, on what I can eat in a day. Now I can start slotting my food in. And when you to keep track of your macros during the day, you can keep track of how many carbohydrates, how many protein, and how many fat you've had during the day, so you know, okay, I have a little bit of fat to spend on this day, or I'm getting close to my fat. My next meal has to be a really high protein, high carb, but no fat meal. Otherwise, I'm going to go over my fat grams, and I'm going to not fall within my macro parameters. So as you start to look at your day and your meals, you can start to now plan your food accordingly on what you can spend. So let's look at something just out of a quick example, like a pat of butter. A pat of butter is 36 calories, which is 4 grams of fat. And there's no fat, there's no carbohydrates and there's no protein. So on a pat of butter, so let's say I'm on a low carb day, I have 144 grams of fat to spend, and this is only 4 grams for a pat of butter. Not bad. So if I want to toss a little butter on something to make it taste a little better, maybe I'm cooking a steak and I want to use a little butter on top of the steak, go for it. If I'm on my high carb day and I only have 86 grams of fat to spend, now 4 grams, I have to start thinking about it. So maybe I don't know if I want to spend that on that day because I want to spend it on something else later. One thing you're going to find when you're starting to keep track of these things is that there's hidden fats and hidden carbohydrates in everything that you eat. So if you have to be stingy on your low carb day, you need to be stingy about your carbohydrates, and on your high carb day, you need to be stingy about your fats. Let's look at another example that will help you maybe see that a little bit easier. I looked up cheeseburger And this is a home cheeseburger, one that you make that's 90% lean ground beef, 2 slices of cheese, lettuce, tomato, a bun that you buy in a store. This is not a fast food place. The fast food ones will be much higher, the numbers. So that is going to be 455 calories. And that breaks down as fat, 255 calories, which is divided by 9, 29 grams. My carbs are 112, which is 28 grams. And my protein is 88 calories, 22 grams. So here's the breakdown of that cheeseburger. On my low carb day, I only have 131 grams of carbs. So I need to decide if I want to spend 28, which is 30% of my carbohydrates on this cheeseburger. You can decide if the rest of my macros are going to fall in line fine. On my high carb day, if I want to have a cheeseburger, now I'm worried about my fat. 29 grams of fat is 40% of my daily calories of fat in this one cheeseburger. So that's very expensive. That's going to make the rest of your day very difficult to hit within your macros. So this is going to be a poor choice on your high carb day. So that just gives you an idea of how you can start playing with these numbers and understanding on when I can have what I want to eat and when I have to say, okay, well, I can't have that today, but on my low carb day, I'm going to fit that in. So I'm not saying no ever. I'm just saying no today. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, just reach out to me on Instagram.